Hello, I'm Dave Shipper, and I'm talking today to Jym and Laura Farley, and they were our finalists from the week 3, and they go by the band High and Rising, right?
That's right.
Where did a name like that come from?
Yeah. It actually came to mind while we were driving through mountains,
Oh,
and we were listening to a Johnny Cash album, and he's got a song 5 Feet High and Rising,
sure, I know
and
that one.
then twisted that to, I don't know, elevation. We're rising on several counts. It was kind of just, it had a ring to it, I guess. So.
Yeah, and we've yet to learn the song,
Yeah.
but we fully intend to.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, it really originated from us just driving, and we
Mhm.
both liked that song. And
Yeah.
the hunt for a band name is always a interesting adventure, and that one just kept pulling us in. So that's where we landed.
Now, you played last year at the fest, and how are you doing now in the COVID situation?
Yeah, lucky for Jim and I, we both work from home. So it was not a drastic career issue for us in that
Mhm.
regard. So we're able to maintain our business, and that I have had my mother staying with us, though, and so that definitely brings us to
We get along. We
being
get
pretty
along.
strict.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, safety wise, though, we're overly precautious with the COVID stuff going on. I think we're just erring on the side of caution with most of it. We had our very first gig actually in 3 months last weekend, and it felt very surreal to be back out in public.
Yeah, so professionally, it maybe wasn't so challenging, but and musically, I think we have the benefit of having each other,
Yeah,
whereas a lot of musicians, whether are soloists or they're part of a band that they don't necessarily live with. So I think for us, we're just super fortunate to have our little duo and be able to keep kind of chugging away and working
yeah.
working towards it, writing and just.
Writing new stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really been a great time of reflection and creativity for us both, I'd say.
Yeah, which, yeah, I feel very blessed to have that ability, because I know, for a lot of people it hasn't gone that way.
Right.
And uh,
It'd be a lot harder if we were the one, if there was only one musician in the house. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Now, speaking of your music, I've read a little bit about you. You guys have a really diverse background of music. Electric and everything. So when you're writing your songs, how do you start? Do you start with a style? You start with a music? You start with lyrics? You know, give me an example.
Sure. So yeah, so with respect to our background, I've played in a number of different bands that are across a few different styles, cover bands, original bands. And for me, I've always been an accompanist, in that my main instrument is bass guitar, actually.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so although I've co-written some songs with friends, I've never really kind of really dove into the writing process as much as I have now.
mm,
For Laura, I guess your story is a little bit different.
Right. Also, being an accompanist over the years, this is the first time that Jim and I have our own thing, and just kind of leading the whole night and leading the songs in a new way for us.
Yeah, so the process is fascinating. We're
Yeah.
continually talking about it, thinking about it. So I
Yeah.
love the question, because it's actually one of my most favorite things to talk about.
Right.
And to
So,
hear.
but actually, I write the lyrics
Yeah,
typically,
oh, okay.
and Jim composes the instrumental.
yeah. So the melody and chord progression are all in my court.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that kind of almost simplifies it, but it kind of really is that simple, in that our duties in getting a song done are very defined and compartmentalized. So uh,
But sometimes I'll write some lyrics and I'll say, I'm hearing this with it, and he'll come up with something brilliant for it, right there for those lyrics in particular. But other times he'll come up with an instrumental section, a guitar riff or something that's like, let's build on this. And then I have a book of lyrics that I've written over time, and we'll find something that's fitting for the feel of what he's come up with. So we've kind of gone both directions with how it's bloomed.
What comes first.
Yeah.
It definitely varies, but
Well,
it's great. It's great pulling from a giant book of lyrics, though, and Laura's just done an amazing job of compiling a lot of really wonderful things to pull from. And I have no interest in writing lyrics, so it's really just been great.
wow. So obviously, there's no competition to this duo. There's a lot of you have the lyrics, and then Jym comes up with something amazing.
Yeah, for sure. No competition at all. I feel like we really feed off of each other.
Yeah, that makes it easy because I think in both of our experience with co-writing in general, it's one of those things that you just have to really be generous and open and just willing to put yourself out there. So we've experienced definitely challenging instances of just composing material with other people. So it's definitely one of those things that we feel fortunate to kind of have that non-competitive relationship when it comes to writing.
Well, do you have, Laura, a set pattern that you're writing to? Is it the muse visits you? Because I've been through classes where they say you should have every day write something for 5-10 minutes. What is your approach?
It's been quite variable over time. Sometimes I'm going through an emotional period, and I know that if I write about it in some sort of a poetry type of form, it helps me get things out and heal definitely. Yeah. And so sometimes it comes from that place, and other times it just comes from, I guess, the universe, just pure joy. I'll get something in my head, and just driving, for example, I've come up with so many things just driving in the car. I need to pull over and write this down or record it into my phone.
Her voice memos are like three lines of what sound like complete nonsense or something really clever and interesting.
For sure. But then, I come home and write it down and get it, into my book of.
I think a great example of that is a while back, Laura had read this article about this homeless gentleman in St. Paul, and she was all excited to tell me about it. And she just is kind of like, Jym, you got to hear about this guy. He has this whole story of he was a veteran, and his path kind of led him to be a homeless guy in St. Paul, but he just became such an important part of the community. And I mean, I'm probably not telling the story as well as Laura could, but
he was just a really good person that was really well known in the community and always doing things to better the streets and clean up and take in stray animals and all that.
Despite having nothing. So anyway, Laura was just very touched by this, and she's like, Jym, you got to hear about it. She's like just on and on and on. She's going on about this fella, and then finally she put the pen to paper and wrote a song about him, and it was really touching.
And now we have bones.
Yeah. That is another way that people do find sources and material is through stories like that. Some people are avid readers. I'm not an avid reader, so I find that as a songwriter a disadvantage, because I think if I would love to read, it would open up my horizon there. But everybody has their own muse visiting them. Now, obviously, you're married with children. Where do you find the time?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've got 4 boys. They age and range. Their range of ages from youngest age 4 and oldest age 17. So we've got a little bit of everything going on. And
it helps they take care of each other.
And they enjoy our music.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Part of it is that we're fortunate enough to have a flexible profession where
we do work from home.
Yeah, so we can do work in the evenings when they're kind of winding down or sleeping, and it's a good balance. I
Yeah.
think that
We make sure to take a lot of adventures with them, and we're a camping family and into
Mhm.
the outdoors and stuff. So we make sure to make time for all of that. They're our top priority, of course. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
but they understand how much we value music, and they're very respectful of that too, which is pretty cool in little kids, I think. So,
They are.
And I think you're
We-
raising them right. You know, anybody who raises their children around music, you're raising their children right. Yeah,
thank you.
that's what the festival's always been about, is bringing community together around music and crafts. Now, the video that you won with was the one with In the Dark. So obviously, In the Dark was one that kind of put you over the top. But you know, when we walked into this, within the first 2 weeks, we said we had 12 people who could win right away. You know, it was amazing. You know, so we're kind of walking through. Okay, we have to pick one of these people this week, and there's like 4 of them that we all want. You know, so it's going to be tough when we hit week 10, 11, and 12. Um, so the In the Dark showed your creativity from a video standpoint. I loved it. Who came up with the idea? Is that also your adventure, is to get into the videographer side of the world, or was it just fun? You thought you came up with the idea?
Sure. It was actually, well, I wrote the lyrics to the song. Actually, wrote the lyrics. It came to me outside in the dark one night when I'm like, I've learned to walk slow in the dark because I've actually fallen or hurt my twist my ankle or something.
Oh, that is
So
quite literal.
it is quite literal. But
Literally hurt
built
you.
off of that, I like built up lyrics off of that. But when that first,
Sure.
but the first, that phrase, I've learned to walk slow in the dark, was actually quite literal when I first came with that. And then I kind of built on other meanings of being in the dark.
Sure.
But Jim came up with the idea to shoot the video in the dark, which is
Well,
candlelight.
sure. Yeah. So the story goes. So yeah, I have a little bit of a technical background, so we've got lots of sort of gear around that we're, like various cameras and different kind of lighting and things like that. We've been doing the live streams for at least a couple of weeks and kind of sinking into the technical parts of the videography behind that and all of the capture of the audio. So it felt like we were just really entrenched in kind of trying to do interesting things in video, along with music, of course. And and most of the time when we had done these live streams, we were focused on it being as bright as possible, so you can really see everything really well. And I was just like, we should try to do something with a little more ambient light. Well, most of our home has windows in it, so we're going around the house trying to find the darkest spot. Well, pretty soon, and maybe this is revealing too much, and we shouldn't say, but we ended up in the bathroom of our house where there is no windows.
Darkest spot.
Yeah, so we we got it as
Close
dark as we
everything
could. We set up all these candles and we started recording, and and it certainly is not a flawless execution. There was a lot going on, and we were really kind of had a hammer it out type attitude. Well, then we had done the footage already and it looked okay and I was liking it, and then I was like, what if we just did it in black and white? So on one hand, it almost seems like we probably didn't have to go through all of these lengths of being in complete darkness and all these candles and the whole thing. If we would have done it black and white to begin with, it would have been just fine. But
It only makes it better now that you have a story behind it.
Right. Well, and the bath in this bathroom is not very large. So here we are kind of like,
with the upright base.
You've seen Laura's base is ridiculously big.
Yeah.
So we're just like climbing over, getting situated to pull this video off. And but it didn't take us too many tries. And we had just written the song, and we've actually been playing the song more out, and we've improved on it. But it really is a great capture of us just freshly writing that song and what we were feeling and going through at the moment. So it's super special to us.
Did we inspire you to?
The video, so.
Yeah, brand new song.
we inspire you to actually make the video just for submission?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We've actually been talking about submitting videos for this contest, and well, we wanted to enter this contest before it was going to be on line, but then as soon as it was announced that it was going to, we definitely had videos in the back of our mind for it, so right away.
Well, I think since we had been to the festival last year and loved it so much, and everybody was so kind, and just the atmosphere was so great, and just getting to know you more, I think we said we got to enter that contest and just be a part of it all, you know.
You know, and for the people who are just listening to this, you were part of the festival last year with Merriweathers, and Merriweathers is still alive and well, right?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
It's a wonderful.
There's is likely taking the summer off due to COVID, and Stacy's just being precautious as well, and not quite ready to get back out there yet. But we're planning on coming back strong this fall. So.
And bands are really in that situation of trying to, you know, what to do during the summer. One of the funniest things I heard from an artist that decided they were stuck in Philadelphia and decided to just stay there. And she just kind of like got permission from one of her friends, and she's just living in their house. And they turned one part of the house into a studio, and they're going to record a CD. So
perfect.
so there are so many questions. There's so many interesting stories that are happening with COVID. So I think I've gotten through the list of my questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Sure. Yeah, I guess. I mean, how's your writing going? How's the music going for you? How are you holding up?
You know, I've not touched writing probably for about 4 months. I've just found myself buried in other projects that it's been fine. And the COVID came around, and that kind of killed anything else. But that's not bad, because it's a hobby for me. I feel for the people who are doing this professionally, and they need to get paid, and they need to have gigs in order to keep rolling along. So
we've talked to a lot of different artists who have taken a little break from whatever their creative process is. And you know, sometimes I think a lot of creative people are maybe going through a little bit of phase of beating themselves up about it too. They're just like, oh my gosh, I should be using this. Whereas, you know, I'm just, it's, to me, being creative and everything related to music is something that you just can't force, and you just kind of have to accept it. You just kind of have to let it
comes in ebbs and flows.
Yeah, let it be what it's going to be. And you know, although I'm a new songwriter too, I haven't been writing songs my whole life or anything like that, but that's just at least my current outlook is just to just let it happen like it's supposed to. And certainly there's going to be moments where we're going to hit that roadblock, and we're probably not going to be being creative in any way, shape, or form. But I like to think you need
to happen at times.
You need that.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it's been fun to meet up with you, Laura and Jym Farley, and I hope the finals treat you well. It's going to be interesting how we're going to end up doing it. This is our first time journey, and this conversation's part of it, to kind of give the judges a sneak preview into what goes on in the back of your heads as you're writing songs. And I'm really looking forward to sharing this with everybody. It's been fun.
Just a huge thank you so much to everyone involved. I mean, I feel like this is
we're honored to be.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, just being alongside. I mean, we've been watching the submissions along with you, and it's just like,
we understand how difficult it would be to be a judge.
To be alongside all these great players that are putting themselves out there. I just thank you so much to everyone involved, and we really look forward to just being part of it in any way, shape, or form. So thank you so much.
Thank you for entering it. You made it even stronger. You know, I remember Laura said, well, should I keep entering videos? And I thought, well, no, if you're a finalist, you know, hold off, because number one, I don't need to watch another video to make it more complicated. And then you can also save it for when the finals round comes. So it's going to be good. And your creativity, you'll be right up there with a mix of them. I'm pretty sure of it.
Awesome. Thank you
Well,
so
I
much.
thank you very much for spending the time with me, and
Yes,
wish
no
you
problem.
luck. Wish
Yeah,
you luck with the summer, and hope you can find some gigs that are socially distant.
thank you.
All
Yes,
right.
indeed. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.